and I hit his ass as hard as I could. I broke his nose.
Of 5 years in state prison, 18 months to be served without parole.
Aggravated assault, molestation of a minor, driving under the influence, manslaughter, domestic violence, and whatnot. These are just some of the crimes which have seen NBA players go behind bars and run into trouble with the law. Often reckless because of their superstar status, we take a look at 5 NBA stars, past or present, who have broken the law and been to prison. Starting at number 5, with the man who gave rise to one of the NBA's most popular memes during the Cleveland Cavaliers 2018 finals run, the legend himself, J.R. Smith.
Not fun.
A man who is no stranger to controversy, including being referenced by Barack Obama for being shirtless,
J.R. Smith already shirtless,
having an uncountable amount of driving offenses, and thrashing a man because he broke his car's window. J.R. Smith went to prison for a totally different reason. You see, back in mid-2007, when Smith was just 21 years old, he was driving with his friend Andre Bell, who, also 21, was in the back seat of the SUV with Smith on the steering wheel. The incident happened in Millstone Township, New Jersey, about 20 miles east of Trenton, where ESPN reported that owed to failure to stop at a stop sign, the car crashed into another car and flipped, resulting in various injuries to both the people involved. Smith was not indicted for a vehicular manslaughter by a Monmouth County jury in New Jersey. His charge was reduced to reckless driving, with a punishment of 90 days in prison, 60 of which were reduced to being compensated by 500 hours of community service. Smith was in jail for 24 days and eventually was forgiven by the victim's mother in an emotional exchange, as Andre Bell and his mother Wanda Bell were close to J.R. Smith, and she didn't want him to go behind bars. A heartfelt gesture indeed. Moving quickly to number 4, we have a former MVP, 11-time All-Star, and currently an NBA analyst best known for his mispronunciation of names.
I'll give you $100 if you say Leonard's first name correctly.
Kawhi. Kawhi Leonard. Who the hell named their kid Kawhi anyway?
Kapumpo.
That was the desired result.
The legend himself, Charles Barkley. Barkley spent 3 days in the Maricopa County Jail after being found guilty of misdemeanor drunken driving charges, which were labeled on him after his escapades following a New Year's party in Arizona. And while initially sentenced to 10 days, Barkley's sentence was reduced to 3 days after he agreed to participate in an alcohol awareness program. What was concerning about the charge was that Barkley's blood alcohol percentage was 0.149, which was almost twice the legally permissible limit of 0.08, and his inebriated state landed him behind bars under the observation of tough guy sheriff Joe Arpaio, who was famous for housing inmates in tents rather than traditional jail cells. Barkley was granted work permit as well, and after his misdemeanors, has mostly maintained a rather steady profile as an important figure for TNT and CBS Sports. We hope Chuck continues to do so for his safety. Now at number 3, we have one of the most troubled and dangerous men on this list, and otherwise too, and that is the late Eddie Johnson Jr., who had a really long rap sheet before finally passing away in 2020. His life, consumed by drug problems and run-ins with the law, finally reached its pinnacle where he, get this, died inside of a prison as well, passing away at the age of 65 in a Florida jail. His topsy-turvy journey into the NBA was highlighted by cocaine use, and the New York Times distinctly reported on his passing that, by his own count, he was arrested at least 100 times. Between 1987 and 2001, he was convicted, among other crimes, of burglary, battery, drug sale and possession, violently resisting arrest, and grand theft. His prison sentence came as a result of a gruesome crime where Johnson Jr., 51 at the time of the crime in 2006, reportedly sexually assaulted an 8-year-old, resulting in a mandatory life sentence for him until his eventual passing away in 2020, where the charges against him included sexual battery of a minor, lewd and lascivious molestation of a minor, and trespassing for the sexual assault of a minor in her home. This 2-time All-Star left a rather terrible legacy behind, showcasing once again the dark side of the NBA and the fame and fortunes that come with it. And before we reveal our top 2, we would be really grateful if you could like this video, subscribe to our channel for more such insightful content around the NBA, and hit the bell icon for notifications and updates on whenever we upload new content. Also, which NBA star with a criminal record has played for your favorite team? Let us know in the comments section. Now, at number 2 on this infamous list, we have one of the NBA's most famous name changers, as he went from being called Ron Artest to Meta World Peace, to finally settling for Meta Sandyford Artest after his wife's name.
My name is Ron Artest. You know, I changed it to Meta World Peace. I also changed it to the Pandas Friend.
Known then as Ron Artest and married to Kimsha Artest, reports came in that Artest had shoved a woman to the floor and prevented her from calling 911. and a witness reported it to be Kimsha, his then wife. His then team, the Sacramento Kings, handed him an immediate suspension as charges of domestic violence landed him in jail for 10 days. He was originally sentenced to 20 days in prison, but it was cut short to 10 days after he agreed to participate in a work release program for the remainder of the time period. Artest, infamously also known for the Malice at the Palace incident, was not new to run-ins with law and order, and this incident just added to his problems. He still holds the record for the longest non-drug suspension in the NBA for an on-court incident, missing a total of 86 games, including playoffs. The Sacramento Kings did allow him back to the team during the domestic violence row while his case was being investigated by the Placer County District Attorney, and then the appropriate punishment was handed. Ron and Kimsha eventually divorced in 2009, following which married his current wife, whose last name he has also integrated in the latest iteration of his own name. And last but not least, at number 1, we have Jason Williams on this infamous list. And for someone who's been to prison for 2 separate major incidents, he has surely earned his number 1 spot as a less than ideal role model for an NBA superstar who made the All-Star team in 1998. The incident which eventually landed him in prison happened back in 2002, where he was pointing a gun at Costas Gus Christofi, a limousine chauffeur present at Williams' estate, and was killed by a shot from the gun held by Williams at the time. The New York Times also quoted a strong testimony by Dean Bumbacco, one of the guests who reportedly saw the victim gasping for breath and eventually toppling on the floor. And the other guests as well reportedly confirmed that Jason Williams tried to tamper with the evidence and cover up the incident. The problem? It was never going to be that simple, as Williams, who was initially charged with reckless manslaughter, was however exonerated of the same, but was instead charged on 4 other counts, including trying to cover up the incident. A long, drawn-out trial saw him finally plead guilty to aggravated assault in January 2010, following which he was sentenced to 5 years in prison with the possibility of parole after 18 months. Matters got worse for him as he also had to serve 8 months out of a potential 1-year imprisonment for a DUI charge, and this entire sentence of the 2 charges was partly carried out by him in Rikers Island, following which he was released in 2012. Damn! We certainly hope that Williams has learned from his recklessness and stays away from firearms for his safety and for the safety of the ones around him. And that brings us to the end of this video. Be sure to like it if you found it insightful, click on the subscribe button and join our growing community, and hit the bell icon to get notifications and updates on the latest content that we upload. Let us know in the comments about which NBA star we may have missed in this video who has a scary rap sheet. See you in the next one.